be a part of the conversation by sending in your thoughts and submissions on the number displayed on the screen. And you can also join us live on Facebook and on YouTube. We're going to read your messages as we progress and advance in the conversation. But I have here with me this morning Dr. Ramsey Inusa. Thank you so much for coming this morning. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a while. And he tells us that he is recovering from an injury. We wish you speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Godspeed to you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Good
We also have, you want us to say something?
Yes, I was saying good morning to yourself and a very good morning to my colleague seated. Doc and Honorable Timothy Taboade. And a very good morning to the good people of Ghana. Unfortunately, I was supposed to come here on last Friday, but it was Eid.
Yes.
And so I didn't have a public platform like this to wish the Muslims of Ghana happy Eid Mubarak.
Yeah.
Yes, OHEMAA, let me take this opportunity to plead with the Ghana Prison Service. Right, that their employees, which is the prison staff or prison guards, are in dire need of assistance as their rent allowance, which is supposed to be paid to them quarterly, has not been paid. And this started off from the SY Akufo-Addo regime, right? Yeah. And now some are even the risk of losing their homes because their landlords and landladies are kicking them out. Right, if you stand on the way, there's a one road where some prisoners, you will see that after they finish their work, they're even begging people to take them back to their various homes on the streets. They're begging for a lift. And we should not continue to treat people who give their services to the nation like that. So I'm calling on the Director General of the Ghana Prison Service. She has been a person who rose through the ranks with some form of hardship, and she knows what I'm talking about. And so if you've gotten there, right, and you know the nooks and crannies of this system, why don't you change it for the betterment of your people? Right. And so I'm just sending a plea to the government.
Right, this is an appeal from Dr. Ramsey Inusa, and I'm sure the government has heard you, and we pray that they are going to work towards that. But also, Dr. Felix Esilfi is here in his apparel. What is the inspiration behind today's red scorpion-looking necklace and the bracelets? Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. I hope you are doing well.
Very well, thank you.
And I would also want to return the good morning to my good brother, Doc, and then Honorable Timothy, and also to the cherished viewers out there. Yes, I'm coming to Pan-African TV, and I'm a proud African. So I decided to put this outfit.
That's right.
And it's a blend of Ghana, Nigeria, and other.
It's contemporary.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
That's why you see some scorpion.
Thank you for representing the continent
and all of that. Yes. Yes.
You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also, last but not least, I have seated here. I don't know why Dr. Felix wants to make meaning out of my compliment to Honorable Timothy all the time. He's jealous. I'll take that one. Yes. But Honorable Timothy Taboade is here, and thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, and good morning, Dr. Ramsey, and then my colleague here. I think it's good we've met once again. But let me just add my voice to Dr. Ramsey's comment on prisons. You see, we should take our prison service serious and treat them as they deserve. They are not part, but they are an embodiment of our security systems. What we do to other security, we must replicate the same thing to them. And I feel tight this morning about talking about their rent. It should not be a yearly or a yearly rent renewal and so on. An agreement should be entered because their services are huge and it's challenging. You should not take them for granted, and I think that they should even be one of the top, because all of us might one day end in their hands. And if they want to treat it the same when we are in their hands, how do we feel as political actors and so on? And I think that the ministries that oversees the prisons is the Ministry of Interior. They should quickly see how they can mobilize to ensure. You know, once some of these teething issues of rent and bills, it can make you really uncomfortable. It can really make you can have sleepless nights. And when you have such uncomfortability,
you become unproductive.
Yes, it impacts on your productivity. Yeah. And I think it's a good call. For some time, some years back, I used to do a lot of commentary for the prison. I'm happy Ramsey is on board on that, and we should all put pressure to ensure it is done.
Absolutely.
The prison authority should immediately see it. Even sometimes you can even get the landlords and they say, this is government. They would understand and so on. But when you make it look as if it is an individual affair, it becomes a very thorny issue. And government should immediately look for the necessary funding. It should have been budgeted for anyway, probably the release, so they can quicken the release of such funds to enable them have a comfortable and a peaceful night's sleep.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable. But if you just joined in, this is the Newspaper Review segment on the Good Morning Africa show. We are yet to kickstart the conversations, but that was just, by the way, that was just an appeal to government concerning the welfare of the prison service officers. You know, you can be a part of the conversation. The number is right on your screen. Send a WhatsApp or a text message, and we're going to read your comments and submissions. But today we are going to discuss Trump hitting 10 African countries with travel ban and restrictions. Also, we'll be looking at the GRNMA strike as mortuary workers record alarming surge in bodies received per day. Oforiatta's family petitions Interpol to remove red notice. The 1 Ghana cedi levy is midnight robbery. Minority tells government. These are the stories we are tabling for discussion this morning. You are always welcome to be a part. Let me remind you once again that we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. You can send your messages there as well. We are going to read it as the conversations advance. Thank you so much. But let's go into our first story, which is Trump's action of placing a ban and travel restrictions on 10 African countries. I read the web report. It says Africa is the continent worst affected by the travel ban announced by U.S. President Donald Trump. Donald Trump, with 7 of 12 countries on the list, which comes into effect on Monday. The order prohibits people from Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Libya, Somalia, and Sudan, as well as Afghanistan, Myanmar, Haiti, Iran, and Yemen from entering the U.S. In addition, there will be travel restrictions on people from Burundi, Sierra Leone, Togo, Cuba, Laos, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. They will no longer be able to travel to the U.S. on certain visas. Coach says, we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, Trump said in a video posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. The U.S. president said the list could be revised if material improvements were made and additional countries could also be added as threats emerge around the world. Now, the White House has said these common sense restrictions will protect Americans from dangerous foreign actors. Now, the report goes on and on and on, you know, giving an account of what happened on X and the information the President of the United States, Donald Trump, put out there. But let me engage my panelists today. I start with you, Dr. Ramsey. What do you make of this? I think this is a bit, it is too much of an attack than, you know, some sort of protection given to the U.S. state, just to declare that it is protecting Americans or residents of America from dangers supposedly being posed by these nationals.
OHEMAA, thank you once again, and A good morning to the staff at Pan-African Television, and a very good morning to Senior Comrade Kwesi Pratt. OHEMAA, President Trump doesn't surprise me at all with his, I would say, far-right, fascist stance and racist stance when it comes to the matters of Africa and our continent. This is a person whose grandfather, Frederick Trump, right, was of German descent, who migrated to the United States to seek greener pastures. So he, Trump himself, is not an original American. But who was an American in the first place? Is it somebody who is of a white skin, or somebody who has been born there and has acquired the citizenship through birthright? I mean, these are questions that we need to really deliberate on as far as the geopolitics of America is concerned. Because the racism in America and what Trump represents is quite inimical to the growth and the progress of we, the so-called third world countries, as they call us. They call us third world citizens. I'm not a third world citizen. I'm a global citizen. Indeed, I'm a first-class citizen and a proudly Ghanaian. I want to use this platform to salute the president of Chad, Mahamat Deby, for his actions against the unethical, repugnant act of President Trump to ban certain African countries not to enter the U.S. He has also retaliated. I'm sure you've heard about it. Yeah. And that's going forward. No American citizen can enter or apply for a Chad visa, which we want to see the rest of his brothers and sisters follow. Because for so long, OHEMAA, we have been caught up in this imperialist shenanigans that does not alter well for our development and for our progress as a people and the image of Africa. We should know, and they should know, that once upon a time, right, civilization started in Africa. Indeed, the foundation of science, mathematics, medicine, astronomy, all began in Africa. Economics began in Africa. What we call today modern wealth, that a lot of countries use to stabilize their currency, was once dispersed haphazardly in Africa. I'm talking about gold, where there was a historic report that the Malian rich man, Mansa Musa, once, when he always travels to Mecca and passes through Egypt and Sinai, causes inflation because he spends gold, a lot of gold. I mean, we are people of dignity and pride, and we should not succumb to the recklessness of a president who rose through racial slurs and, of course, disrespect for women in his own country. And it is time Africans unite and realize that the only way we can be greater and achieve greater heights as a people and alleviate ourselves from the valley of misery, from the valley of hardship, and the valley of incompetent and corrupt leaders is if we unite with a common vision to take over the world, because we have all the resources to propel us to greater heights. OHEMAA, this is a question to African leaders. Now, Donald Trump has slapped various tariffs on African countries. He has cancelled most aid programs under the aegis of the U.S. aid, right? And today he's slapping different countries with travel bans. Yes. I don't know if Ghana will be next, but we wish.
I don't
think we wait to see. No, we wait to see.
Well,
I'm sure President Mahama. I can tell you that President Mahama has shown some form of strong leadership when he responded to his commentary about the white genocide. Yes, yeah. The false claims that there was a white genocide in South Africa, where he disgraced and tried to influence the history of South Africa that pained a lot of black people. I mean, can you imagine? White genocide? And I'm surprised the African Union and these new leaders that we have in Africa are not rallying the cause for reparation of the slavery that was caused on us and the loot of our resources by these Western countries. The U.S. enjoyed mostly from it through the transatlantic slave trade, where over 20 million West Africans were transited through Cabo Verde, the South American plains, into the North American territories, where they served their slave masters and helped build their economy through the support of their plantation, cotton, and then sugarcane plantation. Why aren't we asking them to pay us back? OHEMAA, and I even raise a question that I do not see why Ghanaians should pay for a UK visa, a fee on a British visa. After all they've done to us.
We have done for them.
No, I mean, after all they've done to us. And how we've helped them build their economy and the loot, including the regalia of the Ashanti Kingdom, which I am pleading with Parliament to send a bill, right, to support the Ashanti Kingdom, not to repatriate back these regalia back to the UK, British museums.
The ones they received
on loan.
Yeah.
On loan. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Because we want our children to know our history and not go and learn our history and see the facts and evidence of our history in the UK. It is unfair. And it's some form of neo-slavery. Or I'll say contemporary slavery. OHEMAA. And so President Trump does not seek to surprise many. It is time for us to realize that if we do not put the right leaders in place, because most of these leaders that we have in Africa today are puppets of the West. One is Alassane Ouattara, and I'm saying it emphatically. Alassane Ouattara is a puppet of the West. Right? That is why he is shielding Blaise Compaoré in his country, who is trying hard to suppress the influence and the courage of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who is doing so well.
Right.
And is mimicking, or I would say is a reincarnation of Thomas Sankara, of blessed memory. OHEMAA, we need strong leaders in Africa.
Yeah.
We need leaders that can stand up to the test and stand up against these imperialists, like these forefathers that are behind me. These are forefathers that are behind us. Sekou Touré's, Patrice Lumumba, the Thomas Sankaras, the Emperor Haile Selassie, and all these top freedom fighters of Africa that seek to unite us against the imperialist agenda. And so until we have leaders that are strong and will fight for our interests and will ensure that Africa and even Ghana, right, rises into the league of prominent nations in the world, OHEMAA, they will continue to look down upon us. And we will not allow that to happen. I believe that our generation is failing us. Yes, our generation unfortunately is failing us because today, through the impact of social media and globalization, the way we even speak, the way we even act, the way we even dress, the food we even eat, mimics our colonial master, right?
Dr. Ramsey, are you talking to me or you are saying your points?
No,
Talk to me directly. I'm looking like
you're looking at me.
I've got blonde hair. I've got a shirt.
No, civilization started in Africa, so they are mimicking you. So yes, what I will say is that we need to be strong.
Yes.
We need to unite. We need to love each other as Africans. That is the only way we can be able to break away from the shackles of the imperialists. These threats are real. Maybe people don't talk about it. In our homes, our parents do not really educate us about it. But it is real. The imperialists, the Western regimes, would always try and suppress us because we are the fuel to their economy. And we are the fuel, right, to their social and economic development. And we need to be wary of them. And we need to put in measures in place, right, to withstand all these negative, bad influences and shenanigans from the Western countries.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramsey. Let me come straight to you, Dr. Felix.
Okay,
Do you agree with Dr. Ramsey or you agree with President Donald Trump?
No, I agree with him. I mean, my colleague here. But today I will take the argument from a different dimension because the normal way we see Trump and his actions, he has actually espoused it effectively this morning. OHEMAA, the world and its geopolitics is changing. And it's unfortunate that our leaders, including the citizenry of Africa, we are not learning either from history and even from the current trend around the globe. I will tackle this thing by looking at the positives of Trump's misbehavior, quote unquote, since he actually assumed office as the president of the United States of America. And the way he's been attacking people, other countries through trade wars and the immigration issues and all of that. What are we learning from it as Africans? For me, one of the good things I see from such an action is actually about the opportunity for us to strengthen internal networks as Africans. My colleague made mention of Africans coming together. I totally 150% agree with him. That if Africans will come together, and if you look at across the continent of Africa, we have several comparative advantages. If you come to Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, we have cocoa, gold, and all of the other stuff. If you go to Congo, we have other minerals like cobalt and all of that, diamonds and all of that in Sierra Leone and other countries. So the question is, how come all over the years, we have actually not been able to take advantage of these comparative advantages and trade amongst ourselves economically and then empower ourselves as a continent? Because if you look at the Asian countries where we have China and co, one of the reasons China has become one of the world superpowers is the opportunity they actually took, or the advantage they took from the opportunity of that particular region trading amongst themselves before they even decided to go globally. In terms of education, yes, we have some of the world best universities in Africa. In fact, university education actually, if you go into historical antecedents, actually started from Africa. You understand? But we have been programmed into thinking that sometimes when you finish your first degree here, you don't do your PhD or your master's outside. In terms of the white man's world, your PhD is not up to standard. If I go to our universities now, even some of the lecturers who are there, you understand, if you are doing your PhD in Ghana here, they themselves training you. Sometimes when your colleague goes outside and then comes back, they seem to actually value him more than you. And that is serious insult. You understand? University of Alexandria is in Egypt, right? If you go to Nigeria, there are good universities, South Africa, Pretoria, and all of that. University of Ghana, we have KNUST and all of that. And I tell you, if Africans can come together, raise our own human resource, and trade amongst ourselves, we'll become more powerful than the so-called Americans. So that is the first thing I think we have to take advantage of from Trump's misbehavior. Again, And before I even move on to the second point, you see the programming coming together is actually also not the answer in totality to our problem. We have to take a real look at our educational system, because this educational system is a borrowed one from the white. The way we are programmed religious wise, to the extent that we even don't value our own culture. You understand? Let me have a girlfriend today in terms of food, and then I take her to a buka restaurant and I take Brodian Pesi and Kuntum Rescue. I'm not a guy. You understand? The next time the lady will not even pick my calls again.
Red flag.
You understand? OHEMAA will prefer me taking her to a continental restaurant.
Actually, me personally, no, I don't really.
I'm using you as an example. You're representing our sisters here, so don't worry. You see, they will prefer me taking them to, you know, a continental restaurant, and we have some Chinese cuisine and all of that. You understand? But you can see that all the chronic ailment that we are having in our continent these days is as a result of these continental dishes. Our food and medicine, the way we are programmed, our religious, you know, kind of activities is the best. And so we need to take a look at that. In terms of another advantage we can take is to boost local talent retention and investment. OHEMAA, we are losing brilliant human resource to the world. Go to the so-called US, just go into their human resource profile. The best of doctors, the best of engineers, the best of astronomers, the best of economists are from Africa. But it's because of the way our leaders plunge our nations into total chaos and state of abyss, economic hardship, and all of that, they end up repatriate and then go there to seek for greener pastures. If we are able to come together, take advantage of our comparative advantage, boost our economy. And a typical example is recently when our cedi appreciated. You could see, if you look at social media, the diasporans are complaining that, oh, we you know, Mahama, we beg and all of that. And I was, you know, responding to some of them that come home. You understand? Come home. Because you went there as a result of the fact that the economy was not in good shape. Why are you complaining now that your homeland, the economy is boosting, and then you are complaining because you have found yourself there and you feel like if you get some few dollars or foreign currencies, because the exchange rate is on a hike, you become a bonga. And sometimes they come and then they intimidate us. They take all the beautiful girls and we don't get some. You understand? So we need to actually look at how we... No, when you see, when they are not here, honorable, the beautiful girls are with us. So the moment
we manage the small they give us.
You see, they manage the one we give, but the moment the dollars come, they begin to, you know, misbehave, quote unquote. So we need to boost local, the retention of local talent, and then we also have to invest in that. Another one that I will talk of in terms of taking advantage is that, look, the world has become a global village. And you need to build trade ties, and security-wise, you have to also build ties, you know, and all of that, in terms of diplomacy and all of that. So if US is calling our bluff, BRICS is there. You understand? We need to actually associate ourselves with continents and countries that respect Africa, and they believe in mutual relationships with mutual benefit. If you look at China, and today US is complaining across the African continent that China is taking over there everywhere, what have you. It's because China's approach is more cooperative than intimidation. US over the years, when they come and they are giving you something with the right hand, they are taking it with the left hand, with threats. You understand? But China and Russia will come with an open arm and say that you have this, we have this. Let us show mutual respect and then trade amongst ourselves, you know, in order to take advantage of each other's, you know, advantage or opportunity or strength. And I feel like Africans, we need to come together and have more kind of relationship with such, you know, bodies or countries. Another advantage I will look at is, you know, fueling diaspora engagement at home. You see, we need to actually encourage our citizens in those countries, especially US, to begin, as I said earlier on, to begin looking at home. Because no matter what, people find themselves, and I see African leaders even buying houses in US, and I don't get the sense out of it. You are from Africa, you are a Ghanaian. if you have stolen the money, please.
That's what I was going to say, that stolen monies cannot, because at the end of the day, when you are being investigated, these properties will be confiscated.
Listen, the same Trump, in his first tenure, spoke some wisdom to us. Look, all that he's doing, I'm looking at the positives. Do you remember the quote-unquote, excuse my language, the shithole kind of statement that he made? To me, I looked at the sense out of it. And he also, I think Putin also made a similar statement that Africa is a cemetery. When you hear this, don't look at the negative aspect of it. They are telling you reality. Because we have leaders who steal our resources, create foreign account, and then dump the money there. What are you doing to the to such nations? Are you not contributing to the growth of the economy? Are you not making capital or credit more accessible to the citizenry over there, such that your local companies cannot compete with with those companies within that country? Again, you go and buy a house over there just for that social prestige that I have a house in America. You see, that is madness, because at the end of the day, when you die, you'll be buried in Africa, and that is what Trump was, Putin was trying to tell us some years ago. So we need to have a look at that. I will not take much of the time. I think I will end with this point, that we need to defend our continental identity and integrity. The puppet that we actually elect into office. And that is why sometimes I say I am an ominist when it comes to systems of governance. You understand? I say I'm an ominist because, you see, leadership is about result and how well it benefits the subjects, be it chieftaincy or political leadership. You understand? I normally don't care about how provided people will not lose their lives, innocent blood will not be shed. And I'm citing, I always use Burkina Faso as an example. We have across the Africa where under democratic constitution, through elections, people are killed and nothing happens in terms of justice. But this young man came, even though through the gun, no shred or drop of blood actually fell on the ground. And look at how the people are benefiting. To the extent that the West are even now jealous. I mean, to the level that they even want to take him out. You recently saw the whole euphoria around Africa, where the youth, even Ghana here, people stage demonstration in defense of Traore. You understand? So I'm an ominist. We need to protect African identity. And you see, fixing a square peg in a round hole, I have a problem. In the governance system, Africans will have a way of ruling ourselves. Democracy, I will never debunk that it is not a good thing. Where I have the power to choose the leader I want is good. But we need to think of contextualizing it to the confinement of our culture and traditional settings. Until we do that, we're going to have problems. Because you see, we are using the white man style. So look at, now go to FBI and then AGYEKUM, the ex-while administration officials are trooping in and out because they have been invited. The system is that be elected, use the white man system, amass amount of wealth that you want. When in the white man's world, even with all the institutions and systems put in place, very robust, still people are corrupt. Then you over here, where the institutions are not allowed to work, political interference and all of that, how do you think such a system of governance can benefit your people? So we need to actually have a rethink and reorientation of how we have adopted this democracy, and then make sure that it fits within the confinement of our social, norms and traditions. Yeah. That is what I would say. So for me, OHEMAA, I look at the positive aspect of Trump's misbehavior. Yeah. This is the time Africans need to take advantage of this, because you see now US is sinking. Because of this misbehavior, US is sinking. In terms of the world, they are losing their, their global reputation, positive. They are losing it, and then they are now being grappled with negative reputation because of Trump's misbehavior. The question is, we sitting back as Africans, and most of the time becoming victims of his actions and inactions, what are we doing as a continent to take advantage of that so that we can turn our situations around to the level that by the time they become aware that they are totally down, we are now one of the superpowers of the world.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Felix Esilfi. Now, let me come to you, Honorable. Please.
Yes.
Come in with this one.
Thank you, OHEMAA. Let me say good morning to our viewers out there and to my colleagues here. But the question is, now who calls them? Now who calls them? I agree with both my two colleagues here. He talked about the fact that we take advantage of what Trump is doing. Rightly so. But now who calls them? Trump, as a president of the United States, is enjoined by his constitution and the people of the United States to put in policies to restrict or ban people when their presence is going to cause a threat to their security. Just like any African country too, as we sit here, we will not allow people, migrants, to come here and then they pose a threat to our security. I think recently there were some foreigners who were begging our immigration service had to gather them and send them because they were becoming a nuisance. Whatever reasons they are, our laws prohibits crimes against the people of this country and so on. So I don't really have a problem, but I think the most important thing, like he has espoused this morning, is for us to take advantage of what is happening. You see, there's no counter banning or not giving visas to United States or its citizens to come to your country is not a solution. I think the African leaders who are doing that, he should bow their heads in shame. Were you waiting for Trump to do that before you do that? And when they were coming in, under what conditions did they come in? Under what reasons did you give? And now you want to retaliate by counter banning. What is that? What policy is that? I ban your citizens for, they say counter ban. What is the balancing act? And so on, when you are so much dependent on even little things that you can do for yourselves. About a month or two ago, we all had Parliament, they brought a new committee called Ways and Means, is that not it? Ways and Means, yeah. So the Ways and Means language in this place connotes a different meaning as to how the Ways and Means in the United States does the attention. So it's a very important committee. So the issues came up for some, we are invaders, so former MPs association, and then some of them were arguing. Then our senior brother, Inusa, wrote something. Then I came back and then responded to Inusa. The Inusa put there, why are you agitated like that? So when I said, stop the agitation. I said, no. For me, it is not just the name Ways and Means. So I said, you cannot even modify it. You take the wholesale name, hook, line, and sinker. Come and place it. They also name it Ways and Means. You can't even change it, modify it small. You can't even do that. You do this and then you turn around to blame the United States. You turn around to blame the Western. Even name, you can't even change it. You also pick it, hook, line, and sinker, bring it, Ways and Means Committee of Parliament. What is it? You can't even change that name too. You have people in Ghana called themselves Kumerica. Even name you can't change. Someone who is calling you, you are from a shithole country, and you are mimicking him called Kumerica.
Some churches are even named after a state in the U.S.
Can you imagine? Yes, I even West Indicated. Oh, well, we all know about the church. I know. But you cannot. We are mimicking them, and even in the mimicking processes, we don't mimic it well. Who wasn't it? You take someone's originality, and you are not even doing it to what the fellow intended to do. People call themselves Americans in this country. And it came from the mouth of even a senior member of Parliament. When I heard her say that Kumerika, I said, what? Someone calls you a shithole. He does not even know you exist in this part of the world. Then you call yourself Kumerika. So today you stand around and say that Trump is doing that. I think Trump should do it the more. In fact, Trump should do it more and worse. So for me, it is about time we harness the importance of such a ban, the taxation and whatnot. What advantage are we taking? Look at illicit financial outflows from this part of the world. Who is causing it? Is the Ghanaian or the African? Headed by our GRA people and our custom officers who have allowed money to leak up to these big multinational corporations in this part of the world. They serve as conduits through which they either undervoice or underclaim So that just a little will come to our law enforcement agency, and then they become conduits for which illicit money is transferred out of this country to the detriment of the development of this country. All the time we are there begging. Look, he cited which country? But look at Cuba. Cuba has been under sanctions for how long? And they survived, they never died. They survived, and they never lowered their dignity or their pride. They are proud to be Cubans. And they know what it means. You go there under the people's power. People give you power as a Democrat. You go there, you are drinking whiskey and banging tables with the white man and pretending that you have brought development. In this country, we have a whole government led by Nanado and the Bawumia government. They destroyed this country's environment. Not even the colonial government did that to us. The colonial government left us forestry, they left us parks and gardens. They never mined in our waters. They never dug dangerous holes that have become the pit of hell, where children cannot even play, because your life will be in danger. Chemicals have seeped into our waters. Women and children are suffering. Pregnant women are giving birth to deformed babies. Was it an American? Was it Trump who came and did that? Was it a British citizen who came? Was it a European? And yet there was a president whom allegations were put up against a party chairman, and he said that a Akunta mine would never mine in Forest A, which when they tell it was not true. If the president for whom resources of this country has been bestowed on him through the elections, that you must protect each single individual, and one fellow by his activities has led to serious dangerous health issues, and today he has been picked for a lot of crimes against the state, and members of parliament can leave and go and sit on their buttocks in the scorching sun, leaving what they've been voted to do. You think Trump is not watching us? Trump is saying that these people don't mind them. Is that how to behave? You leave the work for which you are being paid, and you know that this guy was monstrous in his activities. His activities were so monstrous, devastating to human life. This is someone who comes on air, arrogantly display gold to the detriment of the whole country. Yet we have members of parliament defending him. So the question is, if they had won, they would have defended him in that aspect. You have a minister of finance who, through his activities, this country has lost so much money.
We're going to touch
yes, I'm just using it, but not it will come. Yeah. And he's outside. Then a senior member of a think tank, Imani Ghana, Kofi Bentel, can say that he would advise not to come and answer questions against the Republic of Ghana. And yet Imani stands for good governance. Imani stands for good governance, the protection of scarce resources. Yet a senior member and the association has not distanced themselves from such a statement. So for me, when we sit this morning or looking at transaction, Trump, in other words, is he helping us?
Yeah, just as
yes, in other words, he's helping us.
Yeah.
Take your destiny into your own hands. You cannot allow people to build their countries, then those people become safe havens for bad governance, for your own people. They will do everything to destroy this country and to go ahead, to benefit themselves. When you are talking, they tell us that your great-grandfathers didn't do well. They have done well, and they did well through corruption and stealing.
Right.
They will tell you in your face that their grandfathers saw the importance of schools and sent their children. That is how we do to ourselves in this part of the world. So if a white man who has not come here is doing that to us, why are we talking about? My brother talked about BRICS. Why did it dawn on the people who belong to the BRICS to break away from the monopoly of the American state and so on? They need to put up a rivalry institution against them. That is what we are doing. What are Africans doing in the face of this? We have the fertile lands. We can also use our fertile lands as a bargaining power. Because that is big resources you cannot get anywhere. There's no any resource that is as big as fertile land, because that is the core of humanity. Human beings cannot exist without fertile land, because the fertile lands need to produce food for the survival of man.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that we become our own enemies. We've opened the Pandora box for people like Trump to come in with their jabbers and so on. But we created it.
Right.
Nkrumah was in this country, used the CIA to overthrow Nkrumah.
Right.
So it has started all this. And now as we are here, people are collaborating with other forces against this state to do harm to this country. You understand? So for me, there's always a problem. While you are advising the mouse, also advise the dawadawa, so that if the dawadawa does not bait the mouse, the mouse will not also go to it and so on. So for me, it's an issue that we must take advantage of and stop this crying for nothing.
Thank you very much, Honorable, and thank you for your submission. So we're going to continue the conversation on a different subject, but viewers also are coming through with their submissions. I take this one. It says, "Good morning, OHEMAA. Let us take this Donald Trump's action as an opportunity to come together as Africa with one common goal, and to separate ourselves from the Western world, so that we will be on our own, and to come out of this imperialism." This is coming from Prosper Keleji of Kaswa. Thank you so much, Prosper. Take this one also. Says Sami it's coming from Sami from here in Accra. "I beg NDC to hold press conference and respond to upon Nkrumah and set the record straight." On what precisely? If you could indicate that as well. This one says, "Good morning, OHEMAA. In fact, Africa Africa has all the resources, but all what we don't have is unity, among ourselves. We need to come together and trade among ourselves. Anyway, I will say Donald Trump is rather helping us by opening our eyes for us to trade among ourselves. I am Mahime Dominic Yin, watching you live from Upper East region, specifically Tongo." Thank you so much, Dominic. Let me take this last one. "The nurses wants to kill us." This will be an opening to our next subject for conversation. "The nurses wants to kill us, but God will deliver us from this unnatural death they are creating for us. He's trying to say we have all tightened our belts to help the current government to reset the Ghana we all want. The nurses should think of how the farmers are suffering without government assistance. They should reconsider their decision and stop their strike action. They should remember that we are at risk if you still continue the strike. Amos Asinfosu." Thank you so much for everyone that is sending in their submission. I'm going to read the messages as we advance the conversation. But let's come to Ghana. Let's come to our second topic for discussion this morning, which has to do with the nurses and midwives strike, the industrial strike. And the focus here is that mortuary workers record alarming surge in bodies received per day. So I'll bring in my panelists on this very subject matter. This morning, I opened the phone lines and people were coming through with their thoughts on this strike. And we also heard from the Labour Minister, Honorable Rashid Pelpo. He is saying that he is disturbed and confused because there was an avenue for them to have a roundtable discussion and come to a consensus, but they flagrantly disregarded that and decided to go on the strike. And they also claim that government has failed to implement their, I think it was a collective agreement. They went on a collective agreement somewhere in 2024, and government has failed to implement that. But this is quite a dicey one. It's like you can't say one side and leave the other side. We are also appealing for, for patients, for those who deserve quality health care and universal health coverage. What do you make of this one? Anyone can take it. Honorable, anyone can take it.
So, I mean, we start from the right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
OHEMAA, as a member, the person who hails from the College of Health Sciences, I feel quite disheartened when I hear about issues of these strikes again and again and again. These problems that are bedeviling the health system of Ghana are quite anachronistic. They're not new. We've seen this time and time and time again. And successive governments have failed to meet the needs and the plights of our health sector workers. People always complain that our nurses in this country are rude or arrogant. But OHEMAA, there's a saying that a hungry man is an angry man. When today in Ghana, the nurse to patient ratio is 1 nurse to 4,500 patients, where the WHO recommends a nurse to patient ratio of about 1 nurse to 300 or 500 patients, right? If you look at the international healthcare standard, right, for inpatient departments, the ratio is 1 nurse to 4 or 6 patients, and for ICUs is 1 nurse is to 2 patients, and then for surgical wards, it goes about 1 nurse to 4 or 8 patients, 4 to 8 patients. So clearly, we can say without any doubt that the nurses and midwives in Ghana are working under so much pressure and constraint, right? And if you look at the input in terms of incentives, that goes to our nurses and midwives, right? And their output, you realize that it's unfair and there's no proper balance. Yes, it's disproportional. And you know, the reason why they have embarked on this strike is because of some of the campaigns made by political actors during the election season, right? And you know, politicians will always leverage on the plight of people, right? And leverage on that and use that as an advantage to lure you to vote for them. When they come into office, they might forget you. But we are calling on the government, the health minister, Honorable Minta Akando, that the time is now. We want you to be remembered as a minister who came and not just said, but did.
But if I'm not mistaken, given the grounds on which this strike has happened, they are calling for fair condition of service, including salaries, including allowances.
Yes.
But not too long ago, I remember the president making an announcement, and even some nurses had confirmed that they received some allowances while in school. So is it not supposed to be a process that they should have been patient?
OHEMAA, I don't think so, because that's why I say it's quite anachronistic. And people might see me as biased because maybe I belong to the College of Health Sciences.
No,
but
I mean, it's legitimate.
No, but this is legitimate. Yeah. This is all facts, right? Yeah. We can say that our nurses are highly stoical, right? If you look at the scope of work, especially in our rural areas, the CHIPS compounds, the various district hospitals in our rural areas, right, that are understaffed. Look, even the staff banker for nurses and doctors is highly inadequate. Water doesn't flow. There's not even water sometimes. Electricity. It's an issue. It is an issue. This SY government promised Agenda 111. Right? I don't even see a watchman post of these hospitals even commissioned or completed. OHEMAA, it is an issue. Sometimes our nurses would have to even buy gloves to work. Would even go to a length to even buy drugs, and the doctors to buy drugs for patients. And all these things are being looked down upon, and people are just seeing this action or their industrial action as something that is unpatriotic. No, this is an issue that is bedeviling the sector, and we need to be able to have leadership to take that pragmatic step, indeed, to mitigate these crises that we are faced with. And that is why we voted for a new form of leadership that promised to reset.
So is it that you are validating the strike and that it's a good thing that they did to respond to the plights that bedevil the association or the body, the healthcare?
The nurses and the midwives cannot kill patients.
No, but
do you understand? No, they cannot intentionally kill patients.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
As a form of show-off or force. The only action, the only tool they have against the government, just as other labor unions do, is to go on a strike.
But they are
unfortunately,
you know, for the nurses and healthcare workers, they are their job is sensitive. You know, it's central to our well-being as a population.
Absolutely.
And so this strike is going to cause a lot of harm than good, if you ask me.
But the misgovernance, right?
But is there not a way to circumvent? That is what I have been asking this whole while. The misgovernance in this country is causing more harm than what the nurses are causing today. We understand that.
Because if you look at it,
it's even in agreement that the government should stall on the kind of agreement they've gone with the nurses and the midwives. However, their absence is going to, should I say, cause some harm. Their patients, pregnant women, women in labor, and hospitals are virtually empty. Apart from those who work in private hospitals.
I agree.
Not everyone can have or can afford the services of a private hospital.
I agree. That is why, if you look at their actions, right, they have put in some form of skeletal stuff to mitigate or take up this shock. But I think it is not enough.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not, I am in support of the nurses and the midwives and the doctors, because you would have medical doctors that would finish medical school and do their house job and would have delayed payment on their salary for 8 months. Where on earth? I mean, how can this happen? Nurses would finish school and sit at home for 5 years, 6 years, and not be processed. Meanwhile, you have a nurse to patient ratio of one nurse to 4,500 patients.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? This is even doing more harm to the healthcare sector than good. And we have a political class that would lead us and plunge us into abyss. And when they are sick, they will go to the Mayo clinics. OHEMAA, they will go to the Johns Hopkins. They will go to the Presbyterian hospitals in New York and all that.
Yeah.
And leave us with our darling Kolebus and Konfanochi and Tamale Teaching Hospital, right? We need to revamp our healthcare sector. Indeed, I know that there is an excess, supply of nurses in our healthcare sector or system. We believe that if government can put in some international policies in place.
I think it's underway, because the conversation started and we don't know how it's going so far.
We've had all these things, but I want to see pragmatic.
Right.
Pragmatic. Right. And have some form of international pacts with other countries, especially even in the Middle East, like the UAE, the Qatars, Kuwait, and the rest. Right. We can be able to export our nurses, give them world-class training here and export them, and we can rake in some form of foreign reserves, foreign currencies.
Yeah,
you
I
understand?
agree with you on that.
So you understand? Because countries...
With or without that, there's an exodus of...
there is an exodus because of the condition of service.
Yeah.
Yes, the working conditions that they find themselves in. I mean, go to Kolebu today. Go to the various hospitals and see the work environment of our nurses. It is nothing to write home about.
Yeah, let's wrap up on that.
And this is time, Honorable Minister Kwabena Mintah Kando should take in these steps to mitigate all these crises. And he should know that he is there for a reason. that he is there to serve and to change and to indeed to reset Ghana's healthcare sector.
Right.
If he succeeds, he will be remembered as indeed one of the greatest health ministers of our fourth republic.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramsey. Let me bring you in quickly, Dr. Felix Silfi, and then to Honorable, and then we can move on to the next topic.
Yes, time is going, so I will be brief.
Yeah.
OHEMAA, I will be in the middle. No one can stand anywhere to discredit the essential roles played by our health sector workers, especially the nurses.
Absolutely.
If you have never fallen sick before, to the level that you go to the hospital, you wouldn't see the benefit or the role, the key role that they play in our society. So on that score, I will use this one to appeal to them to actually rescind their decision and come back to the discussion table. But you see, OHEMAA, we are experiencing all these things, not only at the health sector, but even at the education sector, other essential, sectors of the economy, because of the inequality in our system. You see a young boy or a young lady who completes university, some of them don't even do national service. They find themselves in the political, arena. And within the shortest possible time, they are buying the biggest of cars, staying in the very, in locations which is actually ascribed to people who are well-to-do, living in mansions and all of that. And some of these workers sit down and look at the sacrifice, the toils, the sleepless nights that they actually invest in the progress of this country, and they are not seeing anything of that sort. When such a thing happens, in our local balance, you see, you understand? So I think the political class will also have to take a critical look at some of these things. What can we do to bridge that particular inequality gap? It is also one of the key reasons we actually see our health workers actually moving out of the country to look for greener pastures, elsewhere. Just about 3 days ago, I was listening to one of the new radio stations. I wouldn't want to mention names. And there is this person, on air saying that he has actually secured clearance for nurses to go to Canada, this, and you could see the number of people calling to make inquiries and all of that. But the nurses will also have to appreciate the fact that this is a new government. They came, and then the country has already been plunged into a state of economic abyss, to the extent that there is not even revenue space for government to spend in very essential sectors of the economy, like the health sector. Apart from their remuneration, even the conditions of service in terms of the areas that they render the services, the facilities, the logistics that they need, are actually, at high level of scarcity. And so they should also look at, this is where I will appeal to them to be a bit patriotic, to look at the situation where the government is having a lot of, limitations when it comes to revenue, to be able to do some of these things. The government, all this dragging of feet and the drama is about the fact the government doesn't have money. And it's sometimes, you see, I have sat here over and over to say that sometimes government ought to be honest with the people. We are not animals. We have conscience. We are human beings. You understand? Come out, tell the people that we just assumed office. This is the state of the economy. We have seen what you actually agreed upon with with our predecessor. However, because of A, B, C, D, we think we need to actually hold on a little bit to be able to, put things together to a level where we can actually implement that. In terms of the livelihood of the agreement, according to their secretary, they said it's supposed to last for 2 years. And because of the dragging of feet nature by the government, 1 year is already elapsed and the thing has not been implemented. You can come back and then renew the lifespan. You understand? Be frank with the people, such that the people will understand that because of resource constraint, it cannot happen at this time. But with the assurances, like the way the president himself went to sit in the Labor Commission, the negotiation of the levy, the minimum wage. The same thing ought to be done. You understand? This entrenched positions that we are taking, at the end of the day, it is you and I, our poor relatives, who are suffering. So we need to take a critical look at that.
They're not willing to come at that.
You see, the point of the matter, like I said, it is the distrust. You understand? In political economy, this is a political economy issue. The distrust. The point, you see, it has happened over and over. And so it gets to a time the person loses trust, irrespective of whoever is in power. Yesterday I was listening to the show, the morning show, and a colleague was trying to talk from the political point of view, the leadership. I don't want to go there. There is nobody in this country who doesn't have a political affiliation. It's just that most of us have not declared our stance. You understand? So it doesn't matter. When it comes to issues like this, I am very careful in terms of bringing political connotation into it. Now, another thing the politicians also have to take a critical look at, you see, during political elections, they tend to form alliances with some of these bodies. The reason sometimes the politicians think it is political is because they themselves create the problem. You will see a whole presidential candidate trying to get some sort of alliances with Ghana Medical Association, GUTA, NAGRAT, and what have you. So when you raise their expectation and they feel like they have contributed significantly to your, to your victory, then they tend to hold your tail and say that this is what we did, and so we also deserve part of the booty. So we need to be very, very careful. We have to totally depoliticize, or stay away from political association with some of these, but let us allow them to be as neutral as possible. Then the question is, all these things that we are talking about, what is the solution now? One of them is appealing to the nurses to agree to come to the table. The next one is government also being honest and transparent with the people that, look, the resources we have is not able to match up to some such demands, and therefore please give us room to put things in place, and then let's go back and renew the lifespan of the agreement. I think that's it. And then the last one is that, look, if the nurses, and this one I'm going to be a bit, ruthless. Radical. If the nurses feel like they can hold us at ransom, then the government, sometimes, you see, we elect government to take bold decisions. Where they need to fire for people to reapply, fire. Because, see, it is not the first time. I remember years back, teachers did that, and for almost 6 months or so, children were not in school. You see, and at that time, government, sometimes they do that, and the politicians are afraid of losing elections and what have you. There comes a time, sometimes you fire for people to reapply. This is the state of our economy. You need to be able to, if you want to work for government, then be prepared for some of these things. And so we need to do, and then recently the president issued a directive that we need to cancel, extend giving contract to retirees. Please, one of the critical areas the government will have to take a real look at in terms of that directive is to look at the essential service sectors, like the health sector. We can't, strictly go by that. We need to bring in some of these experienced old nurses who have gotten to a level where they think of state rather than their personal gains to be on board, especially in this critical moment. Then we also look at youth. President Kufuor, that is one of the good things, youth in nursing, whatever. Some of these things will help, even though they are not well-trained nurses, but as long as they keep, learning on the job, in situations like this, they can step in to help in order to reduce the mortality rate. And then finally, they should actually reduce that a lot of restriction on admissions to the nursing schools. Because already the few that we are trained, they are actually moving out of the country. We need to open it up and then train more nurses to the level that in situations like this, we'll be able to find ways to avert the impact.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Felix Silfi. Let me come to you, Honorable. Please keep it brief for us. I'm sorry that you have to keep it brief for us so that we move on to the Ken Oforiatta.
Yes, the nurses strike. I think I've also heard UTAC too, and then other organized labor threatening to go on strike. It's all good because the Constitution does allow them to go on strike to negotiate for a better conditions of service. But how do you do it? Do you do it genuinely? Or you want to use it as a bargaining chip and hold a government that is just 6 months in power to ransom and compel them to do what is outside their budget and so on. These conditions of service and betterment, how did the previous government capture it? Was it part of the 2024 budget before we took over? Is the current budget part of it? Because all institutions, including the Minister of Health, submits budget to the Minister of Finance. We're about to read budget and so on. If it is not captured, then you immediately somewhere along the line want the government to bend backwards to look for money to implement these. I think you'll be chewing more than you can. And I think that they've been there with us for long, and we appreciate the work of those in the medical sector. But you cannot use your essential services, which is not substitute. You can't substitute their services to use it as a bargaining chip. I think you are going to so far. And like he put it, the president for the first time sat in the labor negotiations and told us that, look, we would want to make things better for you. We've just taken over. The finances of this country are in total mess. So as at when we get more revenue, we can even increase the minimum wage. And the people understand the humility with which the president came in. And those labor unions were part, the national, what do you call it? The Ghana nurses were part of the labor union for those discussions. Then immediately after that, we have not even gone for the media budget review, and you are going on strike. We have not even gone for the media budget review.
The Labor Commission applied for an injunction.
Yes, be that as it may, should we have even gotten there for a labor commission to apply? I don't even think that the injunctions from the courts and whatnot are the issue. Can't we for once do things reasonably? Are we not all Ghanaians? Are your services, you sworn oath to be of this service to the people of this country? Why can't you do that? And then let's see, probably even the new government that has come, we have not faced reviewing the conditions of public servants across board. The president himself has said that when it's reviewed to help he himself, that's why he was looking at a comprehensive way of looking at politicians or appointees who benefit from the Article 71 largesse and so on, so that we could have a comprehensive and holistic salary structure for this country and so on. So for me, I think it's a bit too early. People have not recovered from a lot of challenges that they are having and so on. The conditions, like my brother said this morning, in our various hospitals are in dire straits. We need to revamp and retool our hospital equipments and so on. But for me, I think that it is much more dialogue than to take a stance that I'm not doing this. Like I heard the General Secretary speaking so arrogantly in a belligerent manner, as if what he's saying, no one can push them. No, it does not even reach that stage. It doesn't reach that stage. Recently, government absorbed some doctors who have been on the way. Dr. Ranzi may correct me because he's in that fraternity. When we came, I think we had employed some doctors who have not been employed for some time, and so on. So, you see, it's in series.
And even some of the nurses.
Some of the nurses and so on. We are bringing your colleagues who have been sitting at home for long to join you while these conditions are properly looked at. Maybe when you even sit with government, you may even come out with better conditions as to how you agree, because the previous government might not have been so friendly to you because of a lot of the atrocities they committed against the people of this country. So it's now even time for you to get better conditions. You can sit with the current government and discuss. And I don't think it's too late. We've moved from a situation where you continue to use essential services as a bargaining tool. All other public servants are doing well in their various zones. I tell people that, excuse me to say, what the Zoom Lion man can do, I cannot do it. He's very important in that area. No one should underrate the Zoom Lion. And that's why when I was in Parliament, Ramsey, anytime we had these boys cleaning our what do you call it, the restrooms and so on, I behave to them like they are my friends and younger brothers. When I'm going and I have some money, I give it to them. I treat them well. Even food, I ask them to come and they say, oh no, we don't eat, and I'll give part of the food. You must not think that your services are much more important than the other. He knows it's in the cell that the orderly who cleans the blood in the theaters, and without him the doctor cannot operate. on grounds that if after operations, if the place is left for just 24 hours, it will be so smelly and not proper for the conditions to allow you to operate. So every segment of our workers must be taken seriously in this country. Sometimes we waste so much money. Look at Auditor General reports on so much that we waste. Look at Auditor General report before they left office, over 54 billion Ghana cedis. It did not even go into the pockets of these essential workers. It went to probably some group of cabal who are in the system and milking it and so on. So for me, I think it's about time we look at the comprehensive salary structure and conditions of service for the total public servant. Look, there have been some heads of department. Let me say this, I keep saying it. They are so, I'll use the word wicked, to some worker, to their subordinates such a time that there are some people who need just a step of promotion. They said, have you seen Ramsey? He will never get promotion as long as I'm the head of this department. And they will sit on people's promotions. Probably he needs that to get a better pension to go home. Whatever situation you have with the fellow, you have kept the fellow in bondage.
Oh, those ones will be administrative injustices.
Yeah, no, but sometimes...
Are they not personal issues they have?
No, they will not tell us, but look, we've seen this in the public service before. They've sat on people's promotions to rise to the rank where when they are going on pension, their pensions will be better for them. For personal shenanigans or idiosyncrasies, we said, I've seen Ramsey, he thinks he knows. So Ramsey is supposed to be promoted to probably a senior lecturer. He would hold this guy, do everything to ensure that he does not go through. It's replete in our society. Even in the security service, we see them. These are the things much more that are so harmful to our public sector workers that if we don't take time, we're always zero on this. But people's conditions should not be at the whims and caprices of the boss that is sitting there. There should be a way of progression, that the fellow goes there on merit, with or without the help of his boss. You understand? This is how we should look at our public service. People have really killed people's spirit to work because they've sat people travel and go and come. Their allowances are not paid, their night allowances and so on is in serious areas for which they could even pay and so on. Car allowances are not given and so on. These are all holistic approach to it, and I feel that we should have a better way of rewarding our workers and so on.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Just to add to the collective conversation, as to the legality of the strike, if you look at our labor law, it prohibits essential work service providers from going on strike. And our nurses and midwives fall under that umbrella. And so because their strike would endanger lives and our social welfare. I mean, I'm sure people have questioned the legality, yes. Based on the law.
Even the injunction was given on the grounds of illegality.
Yes. Based on the law, that strike is an illegality. Yes, I just want to also add that. But we hope and we pray that this thing will be a thing of the past, that nobody will finish school and for 1 year he has not received his allowance. I mean, it's serious. I mean, we're on this earth. I mean, come on.
It's not yours.
It's not yours.
It belongs to the people of this country.
We don't have much time. I wish we had time to expound on this conversation, but our viewers also keep coming through with their submissions. Stephen Peng. Stephen Peng watches us all the time. The other time after the show, he called me and said, why didn't I read his message? But Stephen Peng, good morning to you, and thank you so much for always choosing us. He says, OHEMAA, the GRNMA must be law-abiding after they triggered the labor law to embark on their illegal strike. Now, a court of competent jurisdiction have injuncted the strike, and the leaders are hiding from being served on the injunction. Cowardly act, the leadership, if the GRNMA left the jurisdiction after declaring the strike. GRNMA should give Ghanaians a break, please. The leadership should be charged for the murder of lives lost during the strike. Stephen Peng, thank you for your message. This one also says, OHEMAA, the murderers' demands are all not right. Some are illegitimate. Example, deprived area, murderers allowance. What do you mean by murderers? Is it the nurses you are calling murderers or murderers? Or what is it exactly? Says the payment of allowances for rural nurses, payment for continuous service training. I'm not sure. Kindly rephrase that clearly so that we can read it. Ken William is coming through, says, good morning, PATV. It's clear recent labor agitations are politically motivated by union leaders in NPP colors. That's why they never go on strike under NPP but run amok under NDC. For God's sake, health workers must stop playing politics with human lives, since the blood of those who died under their watch will remain on their hands forever. Those behind the strike must know that no amount of bloodshed will win power in 2028. We cannot allow any political group to hold the nation to ransom at the least opportunity. Why can they go on strike but refuse to meet government for a negotiation? Thank you very much, Ken William, for your message. Let's just go straight into our next subject for conversation. We do not have enough time. We have the Ken Oforiatta story, and we also have the 1 Ghana cedis levy, the 1 Ghana cedi levy story as well. So I think the Ken Oforiatta one is more topical. Yeah, so his family has issued a petition to Interpol to be removed from the red notice. Maybe we can chip that in with the 1 Ghana cedi levy. The minority says it's midnight robbery. So we can do both simultaneously. So I start with Honorable Timothy. Please keep it brief for us, as we do not have much time. Now, our system has been regulated such that once the time is up, we'll be cut off the TV.
That's okay.
I don't want that to happen to us today.
Ken Oforiatta's family, they should give us a break and read the letter they've written. Read the letter. It's an insult. It's insulting the Republic of this country. Ken Oforiatta committed a crime against the people of this country, so he must come down to answer the charges. In fact, it is even a good platform to come and deny or accept the charges. The family should be urging their brother, their uncle, their husband to come down rather than insulting us. He's not the only finance minister in this country, yet he's the finance minister in recent time to be plagued with a lot of charges against the Republic and the people of this country. When he was coming to power, they told him he was a Yale financial guru. He went to the best schools in the world. When he was cancelling this contract, didn't his training as a financial investment banker told him that when you carelessly cancel some of these contracts without due process, is going to put you into willfully causing financial loss, not cause, but willfully causing financial loss to the state? Wasn't he aware of that? But because of their belligerence, you see, when they came to this government, they thought that we are a bunch of chickens in a hen coop, that they are managing us. No one took, look, Ken Oforiatta became the what do you call, the alpha and omega of this government. No one could touch him. No one could say anything to him. He takes the decision. What he takes is it, the unilateral cancellation of banks and people who died. The arrogance with which they treated people's investment in this country and who they died. Those people, they don't have blood in their system. They don't have relatives who could have also written at the time. When he was bringing the illegal money and whatnot to their family, they were happy. When the whole this country could be held in abeyance because the Minister of Finance had traveled and they could only make a member of parliament to read the budget, they were happy. When he was bringing over 160 or 59 million as a result of this reckless borrowing, they were happy. We don't know the people who told us that our grandfathers did not take us to school, and they took them to school. They took us to school to do what? To manage us better or to rob us. They went and studied the art of stealing, corruption, mismanagement, recklessness, or what? They shouldn't be insulting people. Look at the language they used. And who are they to write that? if Ramsey's family begin to write, and I also begin to write, and everybody begin to write, we'll have a chaotic state in this country. We have a chaotic state. Right. They should give us a break and rather be eating a humble pie on behalf of a fugitive like Ken Ofori-Atta. Right. He must be brought to this country. He committed the crimes against the republic of this country, and he mustn't sit in a foreign country to be interviewed there, or they should do a Zoom for him, because you cannot be given conditions under which your preferred ways of trying should be done when your allegations have been brought against.
According to the family, based on the statement, it wasn't his preferred option for being interrogated. It was an option as part of his interrogation.
He doesn't have an optional. They shouldn't be. He has no option. You have
also
been
calling the OSP inconsiderate.
He has been
recognizing
so
his doctor's report.
No one here can give option to the Republic of Ghana. In fact, the OSP is working on behalf of the Republic of Ghana. We employ. An individual cannot be given option to an institution. You should calm down. What are you telling me? People, even dead bodies, have been brought to answer questions. And you are saying that you are under look. When the June 1st or deadline, who gave the deadline? June 2nd. Was it not Ken and his people who said that by this time they'll be in to answer the questions? Was it the OSP that gave? When Ken was giving it, when was the family? The family should be very careful in this country, because we have not finished with Ken Ofori-Atta.
Right,
the Frontier Health Services contract.
Let's conclude with minority.
The airport is still outstanding, and more other issues.
Yeah.
When their brother was using the back door to take the public's money for a hole to be dug at $58 million. Where were they? They should have been advising him.
Right. Honorable, let's wrap up with minority saying that the one Ghana
minority should give us a break. They have no any honor when they have to leave even their parliamentary duty to go and be sitting at Yoko trying to get another fugitive there to be released. They have no honor, and they should give us a break. They plunge this country to where we are. Why do you expect the current government to go and get almost $4 billion to arrest the hemorrhaging debt at the energy sector? You use ESLA that was specifically meant to collateralize $2.4 billion. You extended the sunset on cost to 2035. Where they should tell, you see, why the attorney journalists ask them, okay, where do you expect the current government to do to get the money? And they listen will end. Look at the news conference yesterday by them, and look at what they were talking. You see that they don't have any cogent points to make. The argument was so infantile, and that even a kindergarten fellow cannot make such argument in terms of the recommendations, which is much more easier. We know that this was a thought-through policy. Remember, it wasn't captured in the budget. Is that not it? It wasn't captured because after sitting back, you would know that something must be done to end this debt, which has now become cancerous to the energy sector. We cannot allow it to collapse. We have to appeal to the people, hold stakeholders, and ensure that they help us move this thing forward. While we are moving it forward, they better join, or they should keep their mouth shut.
Thank you, Honorable. Quickly to you, Dr. Esulfi.
I will start with the energy sector and then maybe a word about it, because Honorable has dealt with it dispassionately. There is a misconception about the whole levy, which I need to clear.
Okay.
And that is what the minority is actually riding on, to misinform the public and create the impression that some extra levy is coming. Listening to the finance minister very well on the day of his presentation, and also consulting some, ministerial staff at the energy ministry, the understanding I have is that, you see, it's not like fuel prices are going to be increased such that if I buy a liter, I'm going to be charged extra 1 cedi for that. What the government is saying through the finance minister is that because of the appreciation of the cedi and the world market price for the crude, we are enjoying certain reductions at the pump price. Currently, if we are to, I think now the fuel price is at 11, some places it is 12, isn't it? So at the implementation of the levy or of the amended bill, what is going to happen is that if, let's say, the reduction per the cedi appreciation and the world market price for crude okay, is resulting to a certain, to a point where, assuming we are supposed to enjoy a true reduction up to 9 cedis. Instead of the 9 cedis, government is going to rather peg it at 10 cedis. You understand? So that, for example, if at 11 we were supposed to enjoy a 2 cedis reduction, government is saying that that's 2 cedis reduction, which will lead us from 11 to 9. I'm rather going to take 1 cedi out of the 2 cedi, so that instead of buying the fuel at 9 cedis at the pump based on the new reduced price, you rather buy it at 10 cedis. So it's not like there is going to be an additional 1 cedi to the current prices of of litre. We need to clear that.
Yeah.
But before the implementation, one problem I have with the government is that, look, the modus operandi is wrong. They rushed so the hastiness was actually very high, to the extent that the citizenry were not carried along, and that is why this misconception is coming, because people really didn't understand the whole thing. And so we need to actually look at that. Now let me finish this one, in case I'm not even able to talk about kind of right.
We have just 3 minutes.
Yes, my good brother. Well, just 1 minute. 1 minute for me. Now, before the levy, look, let us also understand the fact that it doesn't matter the number of levies. So far, in total, we have 11 levies on fuel prices at the pump. It doesn't matter. We can introduce billions of levies if fundamental issues at the energy sector is not addressed. We are not going to go anywhere.
Right.
We're still going to have ballooning, whatever. And what are some of the fundamental issues? Corruption, procurement breaches, inefficiencies, and then political interference. Yesterday, I had the privilege of granting an interview to one sister radio station, and I spelled out all these things. Until we address this, government should forget. They will leave office, another government will come and say that energy sector debt has gone higher than it was inherited by them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ramsey, wrap up for us.
Yes, in wrapping up, let me use this opportunity to wish our young brothers and sisters who are just about taking their BEC examination the best of luck. And let me also take this opportunity to also wish my brother, Ahmed Inusa, who is also going to undertake his exam very soon. I wish him the best of luck. OHEMAA, we will never take scripture lessons from a drinking bar. The MPP should save us all these ranting and waste of time. OHEMAA, we're in this country where in 2003, the MPP government introduced the Tema Oil Refinery Recovery Levy to recuperate the fallen Tema Oil Refinery. What is the state of TOR today? And is this levy, that levy even had a sunset clause? Yeah. What is the state of TOR today? TOR is declining. And some people are saying it's dead. Right? We were in this country where Ken Oforiatta, Mahmoud Bawumia, and Akufo-Addo collateralize, as Honorable Timothy said, collateralize our ACHIAA funds. And between the period of 2015 to 2025, ACHIAA raised 24.2 billion cedis. I mean, can you imagine what this money could have done in reducing our debt? Right. And as my brother did reiterate, and I agree with him, that we need to solve the fundamental issues bedeviling our energy sector. Yeah. If you have a country that produces electricity and loses 40% of the electricity through transmission, then you are not producing nothing. This is way, way above the global benchmark or thresholds of transmission loss, which is between 6 to 10%, right? When you have archaic infrastructure, when you have corruption in our procurement processes and inefficiencies and management of our ECG, and I mean, what do you expect? That is why we are proposing a debt to equity swap, where ECG's current indebtedness or IPPs should be swapped with equity of the whole total ECG. Right. You understand? Right. And then the billing, the metering, and the collection process of ECG should be privatized to enhance efficiency and in terms of revenue collection. And lastly, OHEMAA,
Dr. Ramsey, I'm sorry we don't have much time. We have about 30 seconds. I'm being signaled that we have to wrap it up and go.
Producer, this is Pan-African television.
No, because we were supposed to start at 8. None of you came
This
at 8.
is Pan-African television.
None of you
we have African man time.
So I'm sorry to truncate Dr. Ramsey and apologies to all my panelists. I'm so sorry.
Anyway.
And hopefully next time we come early and then we can have a lengthy conversation. Thank you so much. And to you for always choosing us, thank you. Let me use this opportunity, just 1 minute, to extend this birthday felicitation of Ivy Dede Nakite, our general manager's brother. Today is her brother's birthday, and he's called Indomie, and he works with Newmont's Company Limited, Abrim. Happy birthday to you, big brother. May the good Lord richly bless you. And today's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to you. That's me and my mom. Happy birthday to my mom. Yeah, happy birthday to my mom. Thank you so much for your sacrifices and the love. Thank you. Happy 64th. God richly bless you. And to you for always choosing us to bring you insights and also compelling and cutting-edge content here. We do appreciate you for always tagging along with us on this journey. I'm OHEMAA AGYEKUM. We are back tomorrow with more, compelling conversations here on the show. Do stay.